$37,062. This is a lot of money. This is money that you could spend on paying for a new car, helping to pay for a new house, or various other expenses that come with life. But instead, many of us have to spend it on college educations that are way too expensive. So, as I mentioned earlier, college is way too expensive here in the United States, and we need to make it cheaper. All of us in this class are college students, and we all feel the pain of how expensive college is nowadays. And I'm sure all of us are really frustrated about it. I know I am. And that's what led me partially to do research on this topic. I probably spent over 10 hours of researching how we can make college cheaper and why we need to do it. So, in this speech, I'm going to discuss what made college so expensive in the first place. Why college being expensive is such a big issue, what made college expensive in the first place, and most importantly, how we can make college less expensive. So, first main point, college being expensive is a major issue because it eliminates so many people who don't have that $37,062 from getting a college education. And this alienates a lot of people who are more than willing to go get educations and make our society more educated and skilled, but instead we charge way too much money for college educations, and that hurts our society as a whole. An example of someone who had to spend a lot of money on college was a lady named Jace. She got a master's degree, and by the time she got out of college, she had already had $100,000 in student loan debt. That is so much money. The fact that anyone can even spend $100,000 on school is just ridiculous. Like, how do you get in that much debt? And that's one of the reasons, is because our college system charges so much money for these educations. And another issue is that it prohibits people who have less money from improving their social status and joining the middle class. And that's part of the American dream, is being able to start from humble beginnings and work your way up. But that's really hard to do when you don't have enough money to go to college. And according to Cameron Sudlett, who's got a PhD in education and research methods, he found that the average net price of tuition and fees plus room and board minus grant aid and tax benefits for a full-time community college student in 2019-2020 was $8,560. That's a lot of money for 1 year of community college. Community college is supposed to be less expensive than a 4-year institution. And that isn't even talking about books, which cost hundreds of dollars per semester, and transportation, which easily costs hundreds of dollars for all the gas that you've got to pay for to get to college. So that is just way too much money. And another issue is that people struggle to pay off their student loans in a timely manner because it's hard. Some people have got to pay like $1,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And now that we've covered why the current price of college is such a major issue, let's discuss how can it be this way. So the obvious culprit is that colleges have been raising their prices more than the inflation rate. And the reason they've been doing that is because they can. There's such a large demand for college. And another reason is that universities, they don't prioritize people getting educations cheaply in order to gain employment outside of college. So according to Munir Moon, who has a master's degree in finances, he claims that a university views itself first and foremost as a place for intellectual and social experiences. Post-graduation employment for students is a secondary consideration. And that's just, the main schools should be there for us to get education. Because why are we going to school? Why are we going to college? Because we want to get a better job that pays more. I don't think when we signed up for university, most of us had intellectual and social experiences in mind. Like I know I sure as heck didn't. I'm here so I can get a high-paying job and do what I want, do what I love. And another thing is schools should not be run like businesses. They should not be allowed to raise their prices so much just because demand is going up. Because education is something that everybody deserves. That's like, so yeah, they shouldn't raise their prices like that. And another thing, according to the College Board, in the United States, a private college, a private four-year institution costs more than 10 times what it did in 1971, and it costs more than 14 times what it did at public four-year universities. Like that's 14 times as much? That's ridiculous. How are people, that's not fair. It's not fair to people who want to get college educations, which is a large amount of the population. And another issue is that people lose out on what they could earn at a job while they're working on getting their education. Like, if you're a full-time student, you're working like 8 hours a day on college. And that's 8 hours that you could have been spending on working at a job that actually pays you instead of having to pay to be able to work for those 8 hours. So that's another reason why colleges should be cheaper, because not everybody's got a full-time job. They don't have $37,000 to spend on college. So now that we have an understanding of how colleges became so expensive, let's get into the meat and potatoes here and discuss how and why we should change it and how we should change it. So the first thing that we want to do is we need to contact the government and say, hey, this is ridiculous. And how we need to do that is we need to contact our local representative. And let's forget we do this. So what you need to do is go to Google and look up local representative, put in wherever you live, because we all live in different places. This is an online class. So if you live in Livermore, you could search local representative, Livermore, California. And then they should have a website. So this is the one for Livermore. His name is Eric Swalwell. And as you can see here, they've got a contact tab. Most of them should have a contact tab. And if you click that, they'll have an email and you can email your grievances. And your grievance is, college is way too expensive. We need help. And one thing we can mention is, according to College Board again, 2019-2020 was the 8th year in a row that state and local funding per student increased after 4 years of decline. However, funding per student was still lower in 2019-2020 than it was in 2007 and 2008. That shows that the government isn't investing as much in higher education as it did 10 years ago. So we need to let them know, hey, we need your help more than ever. And another thing is we need to contact our college, which is Las Positas, and let them know that we want more online classes. Because online classes, they're less expensive and they reduce the amount of spending that the college has to spend, because you don't have to pay to keep up the classes. You can have more students because it's online. And that also helps us because we don't have to spend as much money on transportation and whatnot getting to the college. So how we contact Las Positas is we need to go to their website, which is, you just search up Las Positas and it should be the first link. And here's the homepage. What you do is you search feedback in that search tab. And once you do that, it should have a whole list of results. And it's that first one. It says feedback form. And when you click on that, it should take you here, where you put in your name, your email, and comments, which is, hey, tuition is too expensive. We want you to reduce spending and have more online classes. And according to Minir again, um, as things stand, only 27 cents of every higher education dollar is spent on instruction. Like, they only spend a quarter of what we spend on instruction. That's ridiculous. They need to increase that ratio by decreasing spending in other places. And another thing that we can do is we can reduce our spending outside of what we're forced to pay for tuition. So those first two things that I mentioned, they were directly lowering the price of tuition, but this third thing hopefully will be able to help us, because decreasing what we spend outside of college decreases what we spend overall. And this is something that we can directly do and will directly benefit us, and we should do it. And the first suggestion I have is consider living with family or with a roommate, because rents can be expensive if you're renting a house, and having more people to split the bill with helps. You don't have to pay as much per month. And another thing that you can do is you can take more online classes, so you don't have to spend money commuting to the campus. And I know probably many of us do that already, but online classes help because we don't have to spend money on a parking permit or the gas that it takes to drive to the college, or bus fare, or however you get the Las Positas. You don't have to do that as often if you have more online classes. So that's why we should do that. And another thing we can do is we can buy used books. Buying used books helps because obviously new books are more expensive, and reducing what we spend on books will reduce what we spend on college overall. So in conclusion, college is way too expensive, and it's too expensive because colleges have been allowed to increase the price of tuition, and we can combat it by contacting our local representatives, providing more online classes, decreasing the college's spending on non-instructional sources, and reducing our spending outside of tuition. And the large expense that is college needs to be curtailed in order for our society to be a more educated one. And every person deserves the opportunity to go to college, and these high tuition prices make that not a reality. And we are the ones who can lower tuition, and we're the ones that can make college a